Hi book friends, this is Kat. Welcome back to my channel. This is my August TBR game, and right before we jump into that clip, I'm going to go over last month's roles and let you know if I completed or not completed my prompts from last month. So let me get my journal. Now, if you hear my voice, to me it sounds a little stuffy, but I just got over I don't think it was a cold. I think it was more allergies because I didn't have a temperature or anything like that. But I'm just getting over some allergies, and hopefully I don't cough in this video, but today I've had some coughing here and there, and then just stuffy nose, but I'm actually feeling a lot better than I had. So just disclaimer right there. But the first prompt that I did get was Sebastian. It was to read a nonfiction, and that one I chose Finding Home, My Funny Journey into Faith by Rod Butler. And I am currently right here within the book, but my rule is by the time I film, if I'm not at page 100, then I would have to roll backwards. And so I am on page 125, and I still plan on finishing this book either today or tomorrow, so it'll be done by the end of the month. So I would count that as not having to roll back. The second prompt, I ended up having two prompts, and they were Be Our Guest and The Raven. And Be Our Guest is to pick a book that, I don't have my prompt, but it was to pick a book that I owned. And The Raven is pick a book with a color in the title. And for that, I picked Blackout by Candace Owens. And as you can see, I'm still reading it. I am about halfway as well, or almost halfway. I am on page 129. So usually when I read nonfiction, I like to have another book that I like to take a break with, so that way I'm not like just constantly reading through it. So that's why you see that I have two separate books, which are both nonfiction, but they're different enough to where I can have like a change of I guess reading palette. So but again, I have counted that as not having to roll backwards for that one. And again, I think I'll finish this by the end of the month, so I'm not gonna take a roll back for that. All right, the third roll, I got Pain and Panic from Hercules, and it's used the dictionary word of the day for inspiration. And I can't remember what the dictionary word was. I didn't write it down, but it was some form of making cheese, and I went a little literal, but some of y'all in the comments had some pretty good suggestions of what you would do. Like I know Katie said she would do a cheesy book and take that route. So this time I decided to go a little more literal, and so I picked The Austin Escape by Catherine Ray, and I have completed the book. And the last role that I did have was Yago. The book needs to have an I-R-O in the title, and for that I picked In Search of a Prince by Tony Shiloh, and I have completed this as well. So as you can see, I completed all 4 prompts from my July TBR game, and I will do a review of these books later on in a separate video. As far as some housekeeping stuff goes, I am going to participate in some readathons this month. The first readathon that I would like to participate in is the Retold-a-thon, And this is, I'll put the person who is in charge, who created it, in the description box below. But that starts from August the 7th through the 20th. So I will have a separate video for my picks for the Readathon. And then the last one that I'm going to do in the month of August is back to school Readathon, and this was created, and again, I'll put the creators down below, but that will be from August 25th through August 31st. And I think these are actually a group of teachers who created the Readathon. So I am a teacher, so I am looking forward to participating in that for this month, and that too will be a separate video towards the end of the month. So those were all the housekeepings. I will talk about my book for the Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge at the end of these rolls. But yeah, let's go ahead and see roll number 1. Okay, it is time for another round of my TBR game. You know, I don't have a name for this game. I think I'm gonna have to make up one. Okay, I'll think about it. All right, so here I am right there. We're gonna go with roll number 1. Big number. Ooh. Okay, this is a 10. Can it focus? I don't know if it can focus. There we go, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, near the bells of Notre Dame. Okay, that's a card. Oh, how fitting, Quasimodo. This one says, read a book similar to my last pick. Okay, cool. I'll put it down here. Okay, so as you can see, for roll number 1, I had gotten Quasimodo, and there was a blue sticker on there because I liked this prompt better than the other one, so I just replaced it. But it's to read a book similar to your last pick. And this one, when I made it, had the idea I was actually going to get this prompt after I already picked another prompt, because it was supposed to allude to like the book I picked previously. But since this was the first roll, I didn't actually pick a book. But I decided I would go to my July's TBR, and the last book that I picked from that was actually my Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge book. So, going back to Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, in July, I picked Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, and I honestly did not want to read another classic, at least not like another Jane Austen work. I like to space those out when I can. So I was looking around on like what books were pretty similar, and just kind of thinking about what the book talked about, and it was more of a coming of age story. It's more like gothic literature, there is a mystery component to it. So I decided that the book that I was going to go with would be a Julie Klassen book, which I've never read from Julie Klassen, but it's called The Secret of Pembroke Park. There is a young woman with her father who are basically like bankrupt, and they go to this manor, and I guess they just stay with this family, and of course there's a love interest in there, but then there is this mystery involving a secret room and treasures, and I guess the story unfolds from there. So kind of like Northanger Abbey, where there's like this mystery around the abbey itself, and the young lady was also poor, or at least not as well-to-do, and so and then like that romance. And so I heard this book was similar and I am curious about it. Okay, so that was long-winded, so let's go ahead and go to roll number 2. Second roll. Okay, this one says 4. Okay, sorry, trying to get that to focus. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just missed that mood read. Okay, uh-oh, I got 2. Oops. Let's put that one down there. Probably already saw it. Oh well. True Love, read a romance. Right, simple enough. All right, so as you can see in roll number 2, I did not roll that far, and but I ended up getting a prompt, and it was called, and the prompt is True Love, read a romance. So that's an easy, broad prompt. So I decided to go with a book I recently hauled last month, and that is The Merchant's Daughter. And this is by Melanie Dickerson, and that is the cover. It's kind of shiny, but this is basically a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, because there's that mirror. And so it's Christian fiction, retelling. I think this is a perfect book to add to this month. And I recently read a Melanie Dickerson book I think it was last month or 2 months ago, and I really enjoyed it. And this is part of her fairy tale retelling series. It's called the Hangenheim series, or I can't really pronounce the series name, but this is book 2 in that. So I am excited to read this retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Third and final roll. Darn it. And that is a 1. Great. 1. Well, and we kind of already saw this one, but that's okay. This is his merchandise. Oh, that's a funny one. Read a book with a male on the cover. And for my final roll, I also did not roll a big number at all. As you saw, I only rolled 3 times. We're starting the school year, my husband and I, so we're going back to 3 rolls. And this prompt that I did get is his merchandise. And if you are familiar with Hercules, it's when Hades is like yelling at Pain and Panic, and he's just like, I'm trying to eliminate Hercules and you're wearing his merchandise, and he gets all like upset. And I thought that was a very funny scene. So that's where that prompt comes in. But yeah, so it is to read a book with a male on the cover. So I'm gonna have this opportunity to put another of my 5-star prediction books on here, and that is Just 18 Summers by Renee Gutteridge and Michelle Cox. And previously I have mentioned what this book is, but it's for families who have, you know, who are walking in different stages of their lives, and it's 18 summers with these families at their different stages in life. And so I'm excited to read it. I feel like it's going to be an emotional read. There is the little boy on the cover with his sister, I'm guessing, on the swing. And so yeah, I'm excited to get this, and it's perfect since this is the end of summertime, and so this is like a summertime book. All right, so those were the rolls, and before we see my husband's rolls, I'm going to talk about my book for Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. And so last month I said that I read Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, and so this month's prompt is read a book that is in the same genre. So I decided to go with a classic, even though I wasn't really feeling a classic. So I was a little sad about this prompt, but that's okay. There is a classic that I have been meaning to get to, and that is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And this I don't know much about. I have seen like little bits of clips of the movie, but not enough to know like what's going on. I know it's about a wealthy man and his love for this woman, and it's set in 1920s. So I'm kind of going with it a little blind, but it's been on my like need to want to read since I think high school, really. So and it's a short book, so it's a classic. There we go. That should be short and easy. I've heard mixed reviews about it, so I'm just curious to see what I would think about it. All right, so those were my roles, prompts, and everything. And as you can see in my husband's next roles, where we stand at who is going to possibly finish this game. So let's go ahead and see his roles. All right, it's now my husband's roles. Role number 1. Right there. There we go. 8. Okay, there's a card. Okay, put it down more. There we go. Dinglehopper, new to you author. Wonderful. Roll 2. Kind of rolled off the book. Oh, they came right back. That was kind of cool. Here, I'll help you. He has 12, as you can see. 6, 7, 11, 12. All right. Honestly, my husband is really close to finishing this game. This one says, Old Hag, read a thriller or mystery book. Okay. Roll 3. That is an 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Super close. Oh, goodness. Okay. Last card says, Savages, read a controversial book. But you have some hard prompts. And as you can see, he is so close to the end. And I'm really just hoping he can roll backwards, but at this rate, I might lose, guys. All right, so just the recap of my husband's roles. He had gotten Dinglehopper, new to you author, Dinglehopper from Little Mermaid. He had gotten Old Hag, read a thriller and / mystery book, and the Old Hag is from Snow White, when the evil queen turns into like the old hag. And the last prompt he had gotten is Savages, which that's the term that they use in Pocahontas for each other in their song towards the end, where the Indians and the British people are singing that song, which I thought was a pretty well done song, and it just shows like just the clashes in both sides, and I like seeing both sides to each story. But with that being said, it's to read a controversial book, and so even though my husband, as you saw, is really close to the end, he does have a, I'd say kind of pretty harder prompts. I think the thriller and mystery, he's not big on reading, and, you know, controversial books are hit and miss. So anyway, but those were his prompts, and I think that this month will be pretty interesting, especially since we're going back to school. He's already doing in service with his school, and he actually recently moved into a different school system, and I'm continuing where I was I guess not last year, but at the beginning of this year. So yeah, we'll see how much we'll get done reading. I'm hoping that I can do these readathons, but you never know with, time. But yeah, I think that's all the housekeeping. And next month would probably be the last month before I would have to restart the game. And then come holidays, my TBR game might be a little different because I do something special for the Advent season. So hopefully stick around and see what that looks like. But yeah, as always, if you have read any of these books and think that I may like them, please comment down below. If there are books that you could recommend to my husband, always link that as well. And his books that he read this past month will be in my July wrap up. So stick around if you want to see how he fulfilled those prompts. But yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in a different video. Bye guys.